Welcome everybody to Capes and Scowls. We have a very special guest on the line. We're going to be interviewing Zack Kaplan. Zack, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, guys.
And if you don't know, Zack is the writer for Eclipse from Top Cow and Image Comics.
That's right.
And he has his trade coming out, Volume 1 of Eclipse, coming out on February 15th, 2017. It's a $10 trade, and everybody is obligated to buy it.
That's right. It's unfortunately a mandatory purchase. So I think you get fined like $11 or $12 if you don't buy it. So
Yeah, it's cheap. It's cheaper to just buy it and make it the
it's
number
cheaper to
one.
just buy it than not buy it. Yeah, I don't pick up the rules. This is just it's a new image thing they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we all have to do it.
Yeah, it's an Image Diamond kind of.
Yeah.
It's a scam, but it's a great scam. There's no way around it. If you are a hardcore comics person and you need to know the diamond code, it's December 16 0754. How's that for being prepared? I had the
That's
diamond
nice.
code.
Very well.
Yeah. Sometimes I do good, and other times, well, we won't talk about it. So I will just dive right in here, and my first question for you is: what inspired you growing up? What comics? What movies? What books? What cartoons? Any of that kind of fun stuff.
Oh yeah. I'm a kid that straddled the 80s and the 90s, but I was a young kid in the 80s, and so I got to go to all the classic 80s stuff. I mean, Star Wars, Goonies, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, anything that was big and fantastical. Uh, that was what I was into. I was reading comics. I was reading. Well, I think maybe more towards the 90s. I started reading comics when I was a teenager. I was doing X-Men and Spider-Man and Wolverine, and I branched out and did Spawn and things here and there. I was a huge Trekkie. I watched a ton of Star Trek: Next Generation, ton of uh, all sorts of pulpy stuff. I watched a ton of television when I was growing up. Played a ton of video games. I was a big nerd. I was a
Nice.
big geek. I was into anything science fiction, um, anything that was geeky. I was into it.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I was into lots of uh, fantastical stuff. I think. I mean, all the like gritty, uh, darker stuff. I found that later in life. Like, I came back to Blade Runner. I came back to Godfather. I came back to those kinds of things. When I was growing up, it was anything that caught my imagination was kind of what I responded to.
Nice, nice. What's like the cheesy '80s, like quintessential kind of '80s movie that you just like you love? You said Goonies, which is a very classic pick. Is there anything else that's like super '80s movie wise that you love?
I mean, I watched the Labyrinth tons. I mean, good lord. I mean, the bench is deep, guys. I
It
mean,
is. It is.
you know, I mean, all everything from the John Hughes stuff, to I mean, there's your Breakfast Clubs, and then there's your Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I mean,
Nice.
uh, I mean, any John Candy or Steve Martin comedy. I was a Bill Murray comedy. I was a fan of all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. I geeked out on lots of stuff growing up. That was, I mean, in terms of classic '80s stuff, though, um, it's hard not to do the Goonies or the E.T.s or
Right.
the some of the that kind of fantasy stuff. That was, I mean, I say fantasy because it's like captures the imagination kind of thing, as opposed to a comedy or a thriller.
Yeah.
But I watched a ton of stuff. God, I mean, it's like It's like asking someone what their favorite song is. You know what I mean? There's so much.
Oh man, what's your favorite song?
What's my favorite song? You know, the one that goes da da da. That one's really great.
Man, classic.
I actually like jumping around in genres. I've always done that. Like music, I've listened to everything from like hip hop to ska and punk to electronic to cheesy pop. Sometimes I get pulled into. I mean, I'll listen to any rock and roll. I mean, I'll listen to anything. And I think movies and TV is the same way. I mean, I remember going on a Perry Mason kick. I was a huge Perry Mason and Columbo.
Nice.
You know, back in the 80s. I mean,
Quincy M.E.?
Huh?
Did you do Quincy M.E.?
No.
Oh man, it's Clubman. You got to dig that one up. You would like that one.
I would. That one. I would that one. I think Angela Lansbury was solving mysteries on my list too at that time. I mean, when you're like 10 years old, I don't know. Back then, I would watch anything too. I don't know if you guys were like that. I'd watch anything.
Yeah, I would watch anything. I would watch the same cartoons over and over again, the same movies.
Oh yeah.
And
Saturday morning cartoons. I mean, back when X-Men was a cartoon.
Right. Yeah. The X-Men '92.
Yeah. Yeah, I would watch all sorts of that kind of stuff. I was never a snob. I was always the guy who was like, I liked it. You know what I mean? Like, there'd be that guy who's like, nah, man, Terminator 2 sucks. It's a Terminator 1. And I'm like, I thought it was fun. I liked it. That T-1000 was cool, you know? So, I was always very easy to please when it came to movies and TV. As long as, you know, I just geek out on anything.
That's great, man. That's great. That's cool though that it hold on a second here. We
coming for you.
Yeah, no. There's
New Jersey doesn't like to play with us today.
No, they're torturing us with this. There's a firehouse like right around the corner. Oh my god.
I'll put a pin in it. All good.
Of all the days.
Of all the days, exactly.
All right.
You need to pre-record some guys from like a movie that are like storming in, like get down to the ground, and the next time you're podcasting, you hear this, you just play that thing and say, "Excuse us, we're getting raided," you know, and you just confuse fans. People will be like, "Wait, are they actually getting raided? What's going on? I heard the sirens, and now someone's busting in."
Oh man. The Zack Kaplan interview ended early when the police came for him. We have all the footage.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a new question for you, sir. And the next question I got for you is, was there a specific comic you recall reading that made you go, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to write comics?
It was an author. I can for sure say it was an author.
Mm-hmm.
It was Warren Ellis
by
far. Because growing up, I had always read superhero stuff, and I never got into some of the more interesting stuff that was coming out in the 80s and 90s. I was always just the go-to superheroes. And then early 2000s, I went deeper into comics, and I found Warren Ellis. There were some other guys I found. I found Greg Rucka and Queen and Country, which was awesome. I found Brian K. Vaughan and Why the Last Man, and there were several other things. But I remember reading some Warren Ellis and just going, wait, this is a comic book? This is not a superhero. This is really interesting and really different and really cool. And especially some of the science fiction stuff. Transmetropolitan, Ocean, there's stuff like that I was just like, this is cool. So I remember going through a phase, and that was really what hooked me into realizing that comics could be more.
That's great. That's a really good list of authors for sure.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean that was I mean that one was that like 02, 03. That was kind of maybe 04.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. Warren Ellis was on fire then, and I really like Garth Ennis, so I agree with you there.
And Preacher. Yeah, Preacher was one that I remember getting into, just thinking this is some crazy awesome stuff. you know, I don't know, when you grow up on I'm sure there are other comic book fans out there like me who didn't go deep until the early 2000s, who were just they're reading Spider-Man and X-Men and Wolverine and that kind of stuff, and then you go past that shelf to the next shelf, and you kind of go, whoa, there's some crazy stuff going on here. So, but it's awesome. I mean, I was never even as twisted as Warren Ellis or Garth Ennis, but it was that kind of stuff that makes you go, wait a minute, this is anything. Comics can be anything, and that was that kind of broke my expectations of comics in a good way, and made me really. That was also what inspired me to want to write, because then when I realized what comic books could be, because I never thought about writing superheroes. I always wanted to tell stories that were provocative and different. Not that I would be opposed to telling a superhero story now, but I never thought about it back then, and so it was thought-provoking writers like those that really got me into it.
Nice. Let's see. Is there any other published writings from you before Eclipse in other formats?
No. This is not only my first comic book, this is the first time I have been published. First time I've held something in my hands and said, yeah, I did that. It's on paper. You can buy it. So it's it's been a really awesome experience.
That's great, man. Image for your very first book. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I kind of got lucky. I mean, this is I don't know if there are other writers that have done this. Going through Top Cow. I mean, I got lucky that Top Cow was willing to give me a chance. I think it was a lot of timing and opportunity, and they liked the idea, and they decided to give me a go. And yeah, so but then Top Cow is published. They're Image. They're working with Image, and so I kind of fell into the I guess Image is indie. Do you guys call Image indie? I never.
I don't consider them indie anymore. They're definitely. I mean, they're in the top 10 trades all the time.
Yeah.
They're really like those. I would say my pull bin is like 80% Image actually.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. So yeah, I didn't even. I've been reading all this stuff, but I didn't realize. I mean, I've been pitching comics for years, trying to get a break in, and then I got my break with Top Cow, and then suddenly it was like, wait a minute, Top Cow publishes with Image, right? I mean, I knew that, but like, when it was all coming together, it was a very like holy crap moment. Like, my first book is going to be an Image book. This is crazy. So yeah, I just smiled and nodded and hoped no one had made a mistake, and said I'm going to try to turn out an awesome comic book.